Hey everyone! Wrath of the Lich King is an expansion filled with important choices to make throughout your journey in Northrend. Today, I'm gonna help you avoid some traps, pitfalls, and common mistakes that you as a player will likely fall into, and help you save a lot of time and gold in the process. From the moment you set foot in Northrend all the way to when you defeat the Lich King, you'll want to know a lot of these things to not fall victim to them. With that said, sit back, relax, and let's talk about 7 mistakes you need to avoid doing in Classic Wrath of the Lich King. So let's get started. First off, do not neglect professions in Wrath. In Classic, professions gave you some benefits, especially engineering. In TBC, they became even more present and important to have. But in Wrath, they took it to a whole other level. Professions in Wrath are no joke. They not only allow you to craft items for yourself and others, you know, the usual stuff, but they also give you bonuses specifically tied to you. You know how in TBC, if you're an enchanter, you get to enchant your own rings, and if you're a jewel crafter, you get to make special gems only for you. For Wrath, Blizzard took that concept and cranked it to 11. Here's a few examples. As a blacksmith, you get to have 2 additional gem sockets on your gear compared to non-blacksmiths, 1 on your bracers and 1 on your gloves. This means 40 additional strength, agility, armor pen, or any of the gems of your choice. That's big. Speaking of gems, as a jewel crafter, you get to equip 3 gems with about 25% additional stats. So for example, the regular strength gem gives 20 strength. The jewel crafter one gives 34 strength. And that's basically the same for every gem in the game, and you get to equip 3 of them. Combine that with blacksmithing, and that's a huge bonus for you. Alchemists get mixology. Not only do your flasks and elixirs have double their normal duration, 2 hours instead of 1, but they also provide you with a bonus of anywhere from 30 to 50% of whatever that flask gives. And of course, the old perks from TBC still apply here, where you can get 2 items by crafting just 1, depending on which specialization you chose. Leatherworkers get fur lining, special enchants that are better than the regular enchants. Tailors get the same thing through embroidery. Even gathering professions are big in Wrath. I remember every tank went mining back in the day because it gives 500 bonus HP. Skinning gives 25 crit, herbalism gives AP, spell power, or healing bonuses, but the biggest profession of them all in terms of bonuses is engineering. Engineering is on a whole other level. To start off, you casually get your own auction house in Dalaran. No need to run to Stormwind or Orgrimmar anymore and whisper every mage in there to portal you back. You also get Molly, a portable mailbox that you can drop anywhere you want. Raids, dungeons, BGs, you name it. Jeeves, your own personal repair bot plus freaking bank. Yes, you get to access your bank anywhere you want. Of course, engineers also get their own special enchants, notably Hyperspeed accelerators on gloves, super powerful enchant, but most importantly, nitro boots. Those are super huge in raids. You can enchant them on any pair of boots you want, and you'll get to avoid mechanics in a heartbeat. And then, of course, engineers get all the old stuff they already had, but updated. Teleports around the world, repair bots, engineering goggles, etc. Honestly, I'm of the opinion that anyone should pick engineering in Wrath, regardless of your class or spec. The stuff that you get with this profession is far too good to pass. And once you try it once, you will not be able to go back from all the benefits this profession gives. So yeah, that was professions. Do not neglect them in Wrath. They are very important. Anyways, moving on, let's talk raiding. As we talked about in our first Wrath video, raids in Wrath start with 2 difficulties at first, 10 and 25 men. Then it turns into 4 difficulties when Trial of the Crusader releases. 10 men normal, 10 men heroic, 25 men normal, and 25 men heroic. And that on its own, I think, can be a huge pitfall for many guilds. Why do you ask? I think it's no secret that the start of Wrath of the Lich King was a huge downgrade in terms of difficulty. Naxxramas and Eye of Eternity were extremely easy compared to Sunwell or even Black Temple. Sartharion was a bit more challenging when you fought it with 2 or 3 drakes active. That being said, the difficulty of raiding got cranked up quite hard from there. Already, when Ulduar released, which is for many known as the best raid in WoW, the difficulty was noticeably increased, especially if you enabled hard mode on the bosses that supported it. And who doesn't remember Algalon the Observer, the true end boss of Ulduar? He even gives an achievement and title if you manage to kill him with current Ulduar gear level. Then of course, ICC was easy on normal, but on heroic difficulty, especially during the first few weeks when the stat debuff was still active, ICC was no joke. 25-man heroic Lich King lasted 46 days. That being said, that's mainly because of a combination of time gating and limited attempts on heroic. It's gonna be interesting to see how long heroic ICC will last in Classic Wrath, and whether Blizzard will keep the gating and limited attempts. But I'm getting sidetracked here. I think one big mistake that a lot of guilds and/or players will do is overestimate the difficulty of the content at first and then underestimate it later on. I think at first we will see a similar situation to what happened in Classic, where many players who didn't know anything about vanilla were expecting raiding to be challenging, and then got quickly disappointed. And then later on, a lot of guilds who have been casually raiding every week will try to sink their teeth in heroic difficulty, and will slowly die in the process by losing players who are eager to clear the content with better guilds. Sort of like what happened in SSC and Tempest Keep in Classic TBC. So yeah, the best advice I have for you in Wrath, and this applies to any version of the game really, know what you want and join guilds that have the same goals you have. If you don't care about doing the hardest difficulties and just want to clear normal, join a normal raiding guild. If you want to clear everything, including heroic, join a heroic raiding guild. There's content for everyone in Wrath, you just need to be in the right place with the right people. Next up, if you're playing TBC currently, I would strongly suggest starting to save gold as much as possible. There's a lot of gold sinks in Wrath, from the new mount skills, dual specialization, and of course all the new gear and reagents you'll be buying. You'll be spending a lot of gold when Wrath releases, and you want to start saving right now. As I mentioned, of course, we have dual specialization added in Wrath. That alone will set you off 1000 gold, which is not too much, but if you have many characters, that can really start to add up. Dual spec is a huge quality of life for pretty much every class in Wrath, and everyone will want it eventually. It allows you to get into dungeons or raids more easily, and it also allows you to PvP and PvE to your own discretion. Another huge gold sink is the Dalaran ring. There's actually 4 of them, and new ones are added every patch. Those are often best in slot for many classes. The subsequent ones only cost 1k gold, but the first one costs a whopping 6800 gold at Exalted, 8k at Neutral. And whether this is biz for you or not, you will want to buy one of those because it teleports you to Dalaran, so you can put your Hearthstone somewhere else. Huge quality of life. And of course, probably the biggest gold sinks of them all is the Traveler's Tundra Mammoth, for a whopping 16,000 gold. This mount is very useful for pretty much anyone, whether you're farming in the open world or whether you're in a raid and you want to repair. This will be a big benefit to have, so if you want it, you should start saving for it right now. Gold inflation has of course been a thing that's happening since Classic first launched till this day, but now is the best time to start saving. I would say going in Wrath with at least 10k gold saved is a good start, but of course the more the better. Just don't go overboard with it, because for the most part you will be making more gold in Wrath than you do in TBC. Next up, let's talk Death Knights. Obviously, Death Knights are the new hero class in Wrath, and in Classic Wrath, a lot, and I mean a lot of players will want to level 1. The main reason being that they start at level 58. Just the idea that you can have an alt and skip 58 levels is enough for a lot of people to level 1. That's all fine if all you want is to have a DK alt and casually play it, but if you want to main one, you need to be aware that Death Knights will be a super competitive class in pretty much every area of the game, from getting a spot in dungeons to buying or receiving any type of DK loot. For this reason, in my opinion, you should already start planning ahead. Speak with your guild if you're looking to switch to DK for Wrath. Know what spec you want to play, start farming some plate gear to level up, and just be aware rare that you'll see red classes anywhere you look in Wrath, especially if, like they did with Blood Elves and Draenei, Blizzard decides to release Death Knights early in the Wrath pre-patch. Those pre-patch Sunwells will be full of DKs. This surge of Death Knights is not all gloom and doom though. For one, that's a lot more tanks injected into the world, and we know how tough it is to find a tank for any sort of activity in TBC currently. You can also capitalize very hard on this surge of DKs in Wrath by selling any type of plate gear during pre-patch. I bet there's a lot of gold to be made there. Finally, here's something that is unfortunate, but that has been becoming more and more of an issue as Classic has been aging: server choice. When Classic first launched in August 2019, there was not only a huge amount of players playing the game for the first couple months, but also a very large selection of servers to choose from. Nobody really knew which server were going to be big at first, so people chose randomly for the most part. Over time, however, what happened is that the larger servers grew even larger and the smaller servers slowly died over time. That's still happening to this day on Classic TBC, and it will unfortunately very likely still happen throughout Classic Wrath of the Lich King. You see, original Wrath was indeed the most popular expansion of WoW, but it was also a very stagnant expansion in terms of population growth. It saw quite little growth over time compared to vanilla or TBC. I'm sure Classic Wrath will bring many players back or many new players in because of how casual friendly it is, but I don't expect it to be nearly as popular as original Wrath was. And the unfortunate effect of that is that there will be even more people migrating from lower pop servers to the higher pop ones, and more smaller servers will die over time. So, one big mistake that you could do, I think, is to stay on a smaller server. Honestly, I don't think there's any benefits to doing that, aside from maybe less competition when leveling or when farming stuff in the open world. Larger servers offer a more healthy economy, more groups and guilds to choose from to do PvE content, more opportunities to make friends, a world that actually feels alive, and much more. Now, Wrath is actually a tiny bit better for smaller servers than TBC or vanilla was, because the Dungeon Finder tool is actually region-wide, so you're not gonna wait forever to find a group for a dungeon. That being said, it will be for random other players, so there's that. And also, since TBC, every type of PvP is cross-server too, arenas and BGs, but that's about it. So yeah, I would transfer to a larger server if you're still in one of the small ones that are dying currently. Even Blizzard is encouraging you to do that nowadays by offering free server transfers off of those smaller servers towards medium-sized ones. Still, I would argue going for the largest server you can is always better. The only downside there is that there will be queues, specifically when new patches release, but that usually lasts only a couple weeks and then it's back to normal. With that, that's pretty much everything I have for you today. I hope this video helped you avoid some common mistakes and pitfalls that players will certainly fall into come Classic Wrath. If you have similar tips for your fellow players, please drop them in the comments to benefit everyone. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the Classic WoW Curios channel for more content like this. My name is Namidia, and I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Bye for now.